Hello there and welcome to the channel. I am Richie Stormtrooper. In this video we are continuing with our Stormtrooper tutorial. We are looking this time at the forearms. In this video we're going to be able to concentrate on the forearms themselves and just the peculiarities about the forearms. All parts for limbs, legs and arms require the use of cover strips. I have a separate video on that, so if you want to see that, click here. Also refer back to the video about building the biceps for more general information on building limbs. I go into more detail about the gluing or welding process. I use two different types of glue. I won't go into that here again. The first stage of any build is of course matching the parts together. There are 4 parts. In each case, for each arm there is an outer part and an inner part. If you need reference material, visual material, images of original suits, visit the Forearm, the first Imperial Stormtrooper detachment, that is the Forearm affiliated with the 501st Legion. These particular forearms are of course from my RS Propmasters kit, and they have an individual story all of their own. These 2 parts make up the left forearm assembly. It's sometimes helpful to mark that in pencil on the inside. Only one of the forearms in the RS kit is cast from the original suit, because the suit which RS Propmasters have in their possession in fact features 2 identical arms, and instead of a full right arm assembly and a full left arm assembly, the suit features 2 full right arm assemblies. The left hand assembly was in fact sculpted by the guys at RS Props. It's reasonably good. One thing is very evident straight away, that the original is a lot less rounded. If you look at the curve, this is the right hand forearm, and this is the left hand forearm, the sculpted part, and this is the cast part. See, the curve here on the sculpted part is much more pronounced, it's more rounded. So that's one easy way of identifying them on this kit. If you are not using an RS Propmasters kit, if you're using Trooper Master for instance, it will be not possible to identify the parts like that. What you do have to look out for is on this part of the forearm with the detailing here, which you see on the outside, there is a smooth side on one side of the detailing. There's the strip in the middle, and there is a side with a raised ridge. This ridge part is, you have to imagine it on the arm like so. It's the inner side. So the smooth part will be the outside, the elbow side, and the raised ridge part is on the inside. So obviously if I put this on my left, this raised ridge side will be on the wrong side, on the outside. Also, you will appreciate here there is a slant, a slight incline. That works much more in harmony with the body, as this is kind of winged, splays out towards the outside. You'll see that on the assembled parts. Here, the right side. I have the raised ridge on the inside of my arm. Once I have identified left and right on the parts with the detailing, I can then simply match them up like so. Just matching the raised ridges. When it comes to trimming the parts for the forearms, there are a couple of things that are very important. We start off with the opening for the wrist. Now this was a common mistake back in the day, before we had some of the recent references we do have. It was a common trend to trim this somewhere inside this return edge and leave this edge that doubles over this return edge to give the effect of more a 3-dimensional chunky armour. style. Now, we've since realized that this was completely trimmed out with absolutely no return edge. So we want to immediately get rid of all of that. Don't make the mistake that people used to do years ago. I'll show you the difference. So this section would have what we refer to as return edge still. Now, this is not accurate. The suits were all trimmed completely out like that. In fact, a little bit more. I really need to take that completely flat. So once that's trimmed out, you will want your wrist openings to look like that, completely flat. You will then want to sand that down gently. Likewise, on the inner sections, these parts which are going to be on the inside of your elbow, and this little hollow in your arm here, you can take that off completely. No real need to mark anything there. This all needs to go. There is one area on each forearm assembly which requires some return edge, and that is on the respective outer parts. Where I have no return edge here, no return edge here, I have some here. I would say that's a kind of average amount. Check your original references, copy the suits that you prefer. We have our parts rough trimmed basically, we have our openings ready trimmed, and now it's time to fit them and trim them to the circumference. We're going to want to start with the raised edge. Bear in mind, at the end, we're going to have a raised ridge which is wide enough to accommodate a 15mm wide strip. So it needs to be in total at least 15, maybe more, 18 to 20 range. Then again, in order for our parts to match as best as possible, really the most practical thing to do is take the line of the cut we've already made and sketch that on there. And then this line, if we cut along this line, it should perfectly marry with what we already have on the other side. And of course now it is time to tape up one side, and that way have it matched up on one side as we're going to assemble it, and we can start trimming the other side to size. When you're happy with the sizing of your forearms and we've trimmed both edges, certainly on the RS props kit you're going to find little irregularities like here. This side you've got a rather sharp jagged edge, and on that side what you want to do is just mark. You can tape these up, make it easier, but you just follow the curve and mark that there and just trim it out. So I have my trimmed parts ready and my cover strips cut to length. If you want more information on cover strips, click on this link. Here's a video dedicated just to cover strips. Now I'm going to weld these parts all together. With the forearms, I'm possibly going to be using a little bit more super glue than usual. These parts, I find they're quite tricky. You need to apply quite a lot of pressure. There's quite a lot of tension in the parts to get them lined up. As I've mentioned in other videos, you can of course assemble the whole armour with super glue. I'm going to be welding these parts, and in fact what I'm going to do here is, whilst I have this side open, I'm already going to weld this from the inside to make sure that's a firm join. If you find assembly of the forearms tricky, there's too much tension on the parts, as I say, they need quite a lot of clamping and holding in place, you can use your scrap bits of material to make inner strips. You can glue a complete inner strip and assemble the part from the inside before applying the cover strip, so that the cover strip doesn't really have much more of a function other than a decorative function. It takes more time. You can also cut these up into little strips and just add little strips every now and then. I talk more about these inner strips or tabs as an assembly guide in this video on the biceps. I go into a little bit more detail. And now with my plastic weld I'm going to make a permanent join this cover strip, running a thin trickle of plastic weld on the inside here. Often a good idea to shift the magnets to where you've just applied it, so it clamps that part that's melted. My cover strip is welded firmly on one side there. I'm actually going to use a little bit of super glue again as help. Just a few dots here and there. So that now holds reasonably well just with the super glue. Make sure it's not going to slip. Just run that down the middle seam. Of course, it's already firm on one side, so I can tilt the part so that the liquid naturally drops to the other side. I do also like to finish off by very carefully running a thin bit of plastic weld in the corner on the outside of the strip, being very careful not to drip that over my part. Just here, tiny bit in that corner just to seal it. I do think on the original suits I see evidence of some solvent based glue on the outside. Now I've got one side completely assembled, completely joined with my cover strip. It looks great. Taking the tape off, and the tape has helped, it's kept that protected. It looks very clean, and I can take this opportunity now to also just test the fitting again. If I've still got a chance to trim this again on the other side, so I can slip that over there, tape it up again, whatever. That looks pretty good to me. This is the sculpted left part anyway, so it's not going to be 100% accurate. You want to look at the general overall shape and make sure it fits. That seems fine. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process on the other side and apply my cover strip and finish off here. And here we have our finished forearm armour. You will find you'll have a few areas like this, a few irregularities. You can check your references, look how original parts were built. You can trim that off for comfort if you like. You can leave it. It's not something that's really going to be that obvious, as long as you're comfortable. Well, I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. In the next video we're going to take a first look at our strapping kit, because we of course have two parts that we can strap together. As I say, I hope this video was interesting. If it was, please do like and subscribe. I'm going to be continuing with my build, going to assemble this full armour and post a video for every step of the way. And as I say, in the next step we're going to be joining the biceps and the forearms. See you there.